So yeah, it's happened to all of us. You're getting a ride home from somewhere and you have absolutely no idea what the hell just happened. I'm here today to talk about 3 Uber rides that will make you never want to use the service again. So let's go. Okay, so for those who don't know, I am an Uber driver. I do this part-time, and I love it, because I get to set my own hours and be my own boss. It's honestly been a great way to make some extra cash. However, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the stuff I've seen while doing Ubers would definitely make anybody question if they want to sign up for the service. I've had people fall asleep and snore in the car, which was super weird. I've had passengers take off their shoes and socks and just leave them in my car. And I've also had multiple people throw up in my car, which is disgusting. But that's a topic for another video. No, today I'm going to be telling you about the top 3 creepiest Uber rides I've ever experienced. All of these incidents really happened, and I hope that by sharing my stories, maybe you can learn something from it and be more prepared when you get into your next Uber. Oh, and by the way, if you have any scary Uber stories, please share them down below. I would love to hear them. Okay, so let's get started. Ride number 1, early morning pickup. Alright, so you won't believe this one. It was around 2 a.m. and I got a ping on my phone for a ride. I checked the app and saw that I had a pickup at the main train station. This is where most of my riders are either coming home from a night out or catching a train to go somewhere else. I arrived at the pickup location and there she was waiting outside. She was a little drunk, but that's fine because I've dealt with drunker passengers than her before. What wasn't fine was the fact that she smelled like stale garbage and cat urine. I was like, okay, maybe this is just a one-off. Let's just get the ride over with. I asked her where she was headed, and she gave me an address in the suburbs. Normally, I don't mind driving out to the suburbs because it's usually pretty easy driving and you can listen to the radio without screaming to be heard. But this ride was going to be a bit longer than usual, and I was already exhausted from driving all day. I decided to accept the ride. As we were driving out of the city, I started to notice how quiet it was in the car. Like literally, it was too quiet. Even the radio sounded muffled. The passenger in the front seat was silent and didn't seem to be listening to the music that I put on. I turned to her and asked if everything was okay, and she said yes, but then went back to staring out the window. I thought it was weird, but I didn't think much of it and tried to focus on the road ahead of me. I could see out of the corner of my eye that she was moving her lips, but I couldn't hear anything. I was starting to get freaked out because at this point it was pitch black outside and we were on these really dark roads. All of a sudden, the car just goes completely dead silent. No radio, no music, no nothing. And I can hear her in the front seat breathing heavily. I turn to her and ask her what she's doing, and she looks at me with this crazy look on her face and says, "I haven't breathed in so long." Then she takes a big deep breath and says, "Thank you." That's when I started to panic. I mean, I could feel my heart racing in my chest and my hands were shaking on the wheel. I didn't know what to do. I tried to keep calm and carry on driving, but it was really hard. After what felt like hours, we finally arrived at her destination and she paid me and left, without saying a word. To this day, I still don't know what was going on with her. And the scariest part is that I've actually had 2 other passengers act exactly the same way. I'm telling you, it's like they weren't even human. It was like they were some kind of entity that was just using my car to get around. I'm sorry, but I'm just glad that I was able to get away from them unharmed. Ride number 2, the hitchhiker. Okay, so I was driving along this dark country road and it was raining really heavy. Out of nowhere, I see this woman standing by the side of the road with her thumb out. I slow down and I'm about to pass her, but then I see that she's holding a sign that says Denver. I pull over and I ask her if she wants a ride and she says, "Yes, thank you." As she gets into the car, I can see that she's soaking wet and shivering. I turn the heater on and ask her where she's headed, and she tells me Denver. I look at her and say, "But you're at Denver." She gives me a weird look and says, "No, I'm going to Denver." I didn't think much of it and started driving. After a few minutes of driving, I could feel my skin crawling. It was like there was a presence in the car with us. I tried to ignore it and focus on the road, but it was really hard. I was getting closer and closer to Denver and still no word from my passenger. I was starting to get really scared. I was like, what if she's a serial killer? Or what if she's going to try to rob me? All of a sudden, she turns to me and says, "Can you play this song?" I look at her and ask which song, and she says, "You know that song, the one that goes, 'Are you gonna be my girl?'" I don't know that song. I say, "Do you know what song that is?" She says, "Yeah, the one that goes, 'Will you love me forever?'" At this point, I was so scared. I was like, what is this woman talking about? Then she starts singing the song herself. Her voice was like nails on a chalkboard. It was so screechy and horrible. I pulled over and told her that she had to get out of my car. She looked at me and said, "But we're almost there." I told her that she could finish the ride, but she had to pay for it. She agreed, and I let her stay in the car. When we finally arrived at our destination, she got out of the car without saying a word. She paid me and walked away. Looking back now, I'm pretty sure that she wasn't real. Like there's no way that a human being could be that creepy. I'm sorry, but I'm never picking up a hitchhiker ever again. Ride number 3, the van. Okay, so I was driving through this neighborhood and I saw this house with a bunch of kids outside playing. I slowed down and I was about to drive past, but then I saw this little girl standing by the curb. She was wearing this red raincoat and she had a basket with her. I rolled down my window and asked her if she wanted a ride, and she said, "Yes, thank you." As she got into the car, I could see that she had this weird look on her face. Her eyes were blank and soulless. I turned to her and asked her where she was headed, and she said, "Home." I asked her whose house we're headed to, and she said, "The house with the red door." I didn't think much of it and started driving. As I was driving, I could feel my skin crawling. It was like there was something wrong with the little girl. I tried to ignore it and focus on the road, but it was really hard. We arrived at this house and I asked the little girl if this was her house, and she said, "No, go around the block again." I did as she said, and we went around the block again. We did this several times, and each time she would say, "Not yet, go around the block again." I was starting to get really scared. I was like, what is this little girl doing? Is she trying to lead me somewhere or worse? Then she turns to me and says, "You know, we're almost there." I asked her what she meant, and she said, "To my house." I looked at her and asked her what her name was, and she said, "I don't have a name." I was freaking out at this point. I was like, what the hell is going on? I stopped the car and told her that she had to get out. She looked at me and said, "But I want to go home." I told her that she could get out and walk home, but she refused. I ended up driving her around for hours until I finally got her to get out. Looking back now, I'm pretty sure that she wasn't real. I mean, how can a little girl be so creepy? I'm sorry, but I'm never picking up a child ever again. Well, there you have it. Those are 3 of the creepiest Uber rides I've ever experienced. Do you have any scary Uber stories? Share them down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.